Welcome back to the hottest show in the galaxy. It's the Karen Hunter Show. We're here on Sirius XM Urban View Channel 126. And every day I have to pinch myself because I get to sit in a room with greatness. I get to talk to some of my heroes. And today is no different. Let me welcome to the show. You may know him from Omar in The Wire. You may know him from Bessie. I know him as Chalky White from Boardwalk Empire. Cold as dudes. And there was a scene in 12 Years a Slave. Just one scene that you freaking took over the whole entire. I sat there and I was like, this brother is amazing. Let me welcome to the show, Michael K. Williams.
Oh, man, thank you for having me, Karen.
Thank you. Let me just say, your meteoric rise, right, is unlikely. You know, you sitting here right now, unlikely, right? Yeah. This is not what you came out the womb to do, but but you probably did come out the womb. Tell us a little bit about your journey before we talk about this project you're doing with Ava DuVernay.
Oh, well, for me, I'm born and raised in Brooklyn, New York, and I found the arts. I should say the arts found me a little late in life. I started on a quest to become a background dancer. I was around 23 years old. I was struggled in my teen years with addiction, and I was just starting to get my head together. I got a job, went to college, and here comes Janet Jackson with Rhythm Nation, and my light bulb went off, and I was like, okay, I'm gonna quit school. I'm gonna quit work.
Wait, time out. So what, you were watching the Rhythm Nation video, and you decided you were just gonna go up to Janet, or what? Like, what was the plan, Michael?
You just said it. I was gonna go up to Janet and be like, I want to be one of your dancers. Can you take me on the road with you? But it wasn't, I didn't have the concept of like, I'm gonna go on the road or go to work for you. The video, it struck a chord in my heart. It was a call to action. If you remember the top of the Rhythm Nation song, she's saying, as she's coming down the elevator, she said, we are a people bound together by our beliefs. We are looking towards a world rid of color lines. I'm paraphrasing it, but those things were said, and then the imagery, she was powerful and strong. She wasn't selling sex. And, everybody was different sizes, different colors, and they all looked like one. But the real catch was, if you remember Tyrone Turner, he was the young boy who was like kind of looking on at them, at third eye, looking at them dancing in the warehouse. And think about that. There was this dark-skinned little boy by himself, lost in a dark, damp warehouse. My life felt like that, and I gravitated to what she represented in the music and with her imagery, and it just it woke up the artist in me.
So they say you always need a catalyst, like even a Big Bang. You needed a catalyst, right? And so that was it. So what trajectory did that take you on? Because did you get to dance with Janet immediately?
No, I never got to even meet Miss Jackson.
But wait, pause. Yeah. Janet Jackson, I know you're listening.
I hope she is.
This has to happen.
Belated happy birthday.
Yes, actually, yes. This has to happen. Okay, so this took you on a path, but how did you?
I went out to become a dancer, and it was about 3 to 4 years into my, I guess you would call it a career.
So what was the first thing you were in?
Oh, well, the first thing I ever was dancing for was her name was Izora. She was the
one of the two tons of fun.
Yes, ma'am.
Weather Girls. They started out as two tons of fun. Now with Sylvester.
Yes, Sylvester. They turned to the Weather Girls.
We have a certain era.
Yeah, we know the music. Shout out to Sylvester.
Yes.
You make me feel.
Mighty real.
There you go, Cassie.
And I look. Okay.
You just show the road.
Come on.
There we go.
We could do this. Go ahead.
Anyway, she was my first artist I was scheduled to dance for, and during the rehearsal for the little tour I was going to go on with her is when I got cut in my face. So that tour didn't happen.
Pause. We all know the story, but some of us don't, because when we see you on the screen, your scar is part of the character, whatever you're playing. It fits the roles that you play. But this is a real scar.
Yes, ma'am.
Right. So tell us what happened.
On my 25th birthday, I was
November 22nd.
Yeah, November 22nd. Yep, on my 25th birthday, I was drinking, which is not my best side, and I entertained a conversation that I probably would not have had I been sober, and it resulted as these 2 cuts on my face. So I didn't go on
Was it
that
a box
tour.
cutter? Or?
Yes, he had a razor in his mouth. Actually, is that right?
5%er? What was it? 5%?
I don't need to. I got wilded on actually to talk about when they see us. This was I got wilded on, and on top of that, I got caught slipping. I was drinking, and I was out in the street in Queens, and it was a perfect storm. And I went through a little depression with that. I for some reason, the arts kept it kept me sane. It kept me focusing on something outside of what was going on in my real life in my community, and I kept dancing. I went on to dance for Crystal Waters, Technotronics.
Wow.
CC Penningston with the scar, CC Penningston.
Which
Kim
one
Sims.
did you tour with CC?
I toured with CC. I toured with Kim Sims. I toured and I choreographed the Crystal Waters 100% Pure Love video. I toured with Yaki
which got parodied on Living Color, right?
Well, that was a Gypsy Woman, her first single, her first hit, and I came along on her second album. So I did all of that post the scar, and one day I get a phone call, and apparently Tupac Shakur, the late great Tupac Shakur, he had seen a Polaroid of me and saw that I had this scar. And in his words, he told the director, Julian Temple, go find this dude. He looks thugged out enough to play the role of my little brother in this movie. And that happened, and I did. And that kind of, gave me the bug of acting.
And boy, you a great actor.
Thank you.
Sterling K. Brown says that you bring yourself to every role. Like great actors, you're bringing a part of you. You can find yourself in whatever the role is. So I'm imagining when I see Omar, when I see Chalky White, or in this case, you're playing the role of, and I don't know what role you are playing. I know the story because I was here for it. The Central Park Joggers.
It's the Central Park 5 story, but the name of it is called When They See Us. And I play Bobby McCrae. He's the father of Antron McCrae.
Antron, okay. And for people who don't know, in the 1980s, a jogger, investment banker, white woman, was jogging in Central Park, which is the famed Central Park, and she was brutally beaten and raped.
Yes, brutally.
Brutally in a coma for ever, and people thought she was gonna die.
Yes.
And they rounded up these 5 young men,
we're talking about
they
were boys.
15,
they were
16,
boys, yes.
17-year-old boys.
They weren't, not even, 17, they were 13, 13, 14. Only one was actually 15, and he turned 6. That was Corey Wise. He turned 16 during the trial.
Okay.
So that time it came time for sentencing. They tried him as an adult.
You remember this case as a New Yorker,
yes, ma'am.
Don't you? Because it was a nationwide case. But if you were in New York at this time, it split the city. You had Donald Trump taking out ads calling for their death. And that was real in New York newspapers. It was
very divisive.
Very divisive. Calling for their death before they were even tried. And these kids didn't have their parents with them when they were
interrogated.
Right. In these
and that's what I want to speak to. It wasn't like they didn't care, didn't want to be there. Our communities, my community, we were very uninformed. We're talking 30 years ago. It was really uninformed. And we still are today. I don't even know what all my rights are. We're talking about, working parents. What my son? No, come on, whatever. We're so busy. We're so consumed with just trying to put food on the table. We don't think about that. We're not thinking about, maybe I should get a lawyer. We don't got the money for no lawyer anyway. Right. And then, going back to Bobby McCrae, he didn't even have the knowledge to know that it's illegal to have my son in his room with you, and I'm not one of his parents not being there. When they say leave us alone with your son, we let it happen.
Right. And we're intimidated by a legal system that has us under their yoke.
Yes.
We are literally oppressed by a legal system.
Literally.
We're talking about police in the streets or the court system.
Yes.
Why so many of us plea bargain because we're afraid to go and actually defend ourselves in court.
And what replaces that, Karen? Knowledge. We the way, for me at least, the way that I ensure that I respect what these men went through and survived is by doing my part to ensure that it never happens again, at least not in my community, not on my watch. And the way that I do that is by informing myself first, what happened, what went wrong, what did the parent, because I'm a parent now, what did they do wrong as a parent back then? You know what I mean? And it was lack of information, lack of knowledge, coupled with the fear. It made them make bad choices, and it resulted in this.
So the boys were convicted.
Yes.
convicted. And I got to sit with Corey Wise after he got out.
Corey.
Corey.
Yeah.
Well, it's
No one-
Khary, isn't it?
Well, he pronounced it Corey.
Okay, all right. And he was so damaged. I sat on a panel with him, and I was sitting there imagining 15, 16 years old going to jail as a rapist.
Mm-hmm.
Rapists get treated a certain way in prison.
Yes, they do.
And you were convicted of it. So there's no reason. Rape and pedophile.
And that's, my quotation fingers for the listeners, he pleaded guilty.
Right, right. And he was a boy.
He was a boy.
And you can feel the damage. You can feel the destruction of this soul that didn't get a chance to grow up and will never be right.
But, but having said that, though, I spent a lot of time with those men. Corey's a warrior.
No doubt.
He's a warrior.
No doubt.
Strong spirited. And you know what makes him, in my eyes, what makes him so strong is the fact that he's still able to be vulnerable and transparent and smile. Like, he beat the odds. He's really humbling to be around.
For sure.
He really is.
I got to spend time with it because I was a reporter at the Daily News at the time.
Wow.
So Sharon, Yusef Salam's mom, the frustration because I was in my 20s. And I
want to ask you a question.
Sure.
You were a reporter for the Daily News at the time.
Yeah.
What was like for you as a black woman going to work? What was the temperature in the office?
That's why it was on fire. And so I'm out in the streets trying to, so I made a, connection with Yusef's mom.
Mother, yes.
And she was, adamant.
She knew better. She had a little knowledge.
No, she was a sharp woman.
Yes, she was.
But
yes, she is.
I couldn't help her, and
why though? Why?
Because you're under a system, and in your 20s, and I was just saying, I had this conversation. I was on a panel recently, and I said, you come in, you're trying to make your way in this as a journalist.
Yes,
it's a system where there's not many of us in the newsroom.
Come on, sit talk.
Editors send you out to get a story that they already in their mind know what it is. So you have to either follow the lead. I'm new. I'm not like a veteran where I have. Later on down the line with Amadou Diallo, I got to flex a little bit. But I'm like in this game
Which
like 3 or 4 years.
happened in my community. I used to go to that Club Rendezvous.
Wow.
That's on Flatbush Avenue between Farragut and Glenwood. Yeah. Amadou Diallo.
I mean,
yeah.
New York is so I'm out there and a woman is telling me that her son is innocent and they're going through the trial and we're trying to tell her story. So the only thing I could do was tell her story. But now I look back, I probably could have done so much more. So you feel like, on some level, the job of a journalist is so much greater than we give it credit. At the time I was trying to get put on, get my byline in the paper.
It's
and
so honest of you. And a lot of us that came from that community that look like us, we have a part to play in that. I tell people, my part to play in it, even though I'm not from Harlem, I wasn't there when it happened. However, those young boys they've been more big brothers and mentors in the community. It probably would have been helped them to make a better decision than going to the park at night.
Right, right.
Wildin',
whatever. That's what they called them. Wild pack of wolves. I remember the headline because I'm sitting in there and I'm like, these headlines are crazy.
No, but that was real.
Yeah.
It was going on. It was going down in the streets in New York. I'm a victim of wilding. I got jumped by a gang of dudes. One of them spit a razor and cut me and mauled my face open. Wilding. And I was prey because I was out there drunk.
Right,
you know what I mean?
Right.
But these boys were not drunk. They just went out to go play.
Right. Running the streets. When I was coming up, the street light comes on, my ass better be in the house. There was
at least in front of the window. You're
right.
a female, so you
right.
had to go upstairs.
I gotta be in the house.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah.
But the codes, and you're right, if we had a stronger net, first of all, there would have been lawyers. There'd have been a phone call. There would have been,
and so
a community around them.
So I love that you said that, community around them. So for me, right, I can't focus too much on what they did, because we know that the police department, they have in New York City, particularly to this case, they have a lot to account for. We know that there's no debating that, and I'm not even going to waste my energy on waiting for that apology, so to speak, right? However, what I can do is make sure that it never happens again in my community or my watch. And so when you say that, for me, the way to honor these 5 men, what they've been through and what they survived, is by the worst way to stay in their legacy would be to take our rage and our anger and our pain and turn it into a narrative of us against them, meaning us, the community against the police department.
Right, because that doesn't serve us.
It won't work. And
Right.
it won't serve us, and it won't work. That will fail miserably, actually. So again, it goes back to informing ourselves as a community, like you said, and you know, we talk about the media. I love that you were just honest about that, because the media was also a huge culprit. You know, at least today we have video cameras and social media to tell our narrative, to speak out against it, and get a generation type of, like, you know, voice
Right.
for that, advocate for us. They didn't even have
No,
that.
no,
So the
and
only
you're
thing
doing
is,
the bidding of a corporation or an editor,
which was in your situation.
Yeah.
It was hard. So we all had a part to play in that, you know, and the way that we honor that is by ensuring that it doesn't happen again. The way to do that is by informing ourselves, getting involved back with our community, and let's not dance around the bush. There needs to, you know, our kids, our young people that are adolescent, that are on the fence, that are at risk, whatever you want to call it, in marginalized neighborhoods, blah, blah, blah. At the end of the day, they need a big brother. They need a mentor, right? And so
they need a catalyst like you had. Something that's going to spark something in them to do something productive.
Amen.
That's
Amen.
it.
So I call, that's my dog whistle for a call to action. I can't, you know, and you know, yeah, and dare I say this too, corny as it sounds, sister, another way to make sure this never happens again, we as a community, we have got to make more time to be involved with our local community leaders and hold them accountable. All the cops in our community are not bad. There's some good cops out there. We need to make it our responsibility to get to know them. Had those families had a relationship maybe with a police officer that patrols the community, that
They would have been like, nah, they
could
wild,
vouch
but they
for
didn't
us.
rate. Yeah,
Could have
right,
vouched for
right,
them.
right.
We're living in that time. I'm not saying it's right or wrong, but that it is what it is, right? And so we have to use our tools that's in our community. But there are tools there. The local, you know, like today now, you know, I advocate. I'm an ambassador for the Innocence Project. I educate myself. I go to these corny town hall meetings that Chief Jeff Madry asked me to come to. That's my brother. He's chief of police over North Brooklyn. I have a relationship with him. We do panels together. I see him care. So I lend my voice with him. Right. I show up for him. I don't, you know, I'd rather be on my couch, you know, watching the game. But when Chief calls me, I show up because it's my community. And that's just my part.
Michael K. Williams. So you played Bobby McCrae in the Netflix film When They See Us, which is about the Central Park 5, but it's told through their eyes.
It's through their eyes, and we also tell the impact of what that case did to them and to their families and to the relationships. You know, when you break down the family structure, man, we're very it makes us very vulnerable, and that tore down family structures. But thank God, you know, they build back up because those men are strong and their brothers.
Their conviction was overturned in 2002. They also won a lawsuit. Kim Burns did a great documentary as well.
Yes.
Ava DuVernay took on this project. I knew she was, you know, I said, this is going to be something. When did you get the phone call to play this role of Bobby McCrae?
It was shortly after she and I met here at Sirius.
Y'all met at Sirius XM?
Yes, we
Sirius
did.
XM brought y'all together?
Yes, they did. Yes, y'all did, man.
Shout out to us.
She was coming out of a room. I think it might have been Sway. I was sitting there waiting to go in. She turns the corner. I'm sitting down just like I'm doing now. And when I see them dressed come around the corner, I jump up and I grab her and I hug her. I was like, let me hug this queen, right? And I said, man, I love you. She said, man, I love you too. She said, you smell good. I love your energy.
I just said that to you too. He smells real good. What are you wearing? Oh, he can't tell. Some special Michael K. Williams
spices in the rice. Shout out to Jill Scott. You know?
Okay.
No, but actually, what I'm wearing is it's something my nephew made. It's all organic. It's called Perfect Blue Alchemy. He and his lady friends, they put together a nice natural.
What's their business?
Perfect Blue Alchemy. You can go online. You can Google it. It's on Instagram. But
Perfect Blue Alchemy, y'all.
It makes sense. All natural sense.
Smells good.
Thank you,
and they
sister.
can tailor it to your own body chemistry.
Yep. Yes, they can.
Because I've never smelled anyone that smells like you.
Thank you.
It smells good.
Thank
Okay,
you.
so
well, we met here.
Right.
Ava and I met here, and that started to spark. But when she called me for this, we sat down, we had lunch, and we talked about, you know, what it was like for me growing up in the city when it happened. What did I feel? And I talked about the fear. You know, that was the main thing that I remember.
Yeah, because there was a turn to all black boys were kind of suspect.
Public enemy number one.
Because y'all are
if
rapists.
You dressed a certain way, rapists. Yeah, we're wilding. You know, it was we got lumped with a energy that
could cost you your life in the wrong place.
Yeah, we got generalized. All the young boys in my. So I remember the fear. You know, and I remember we talked about. She's from Compton, as you know. So was it really wilding or was it wilding out? I said no out, just wilding. Are you sure about that? I said no out, just wilding. In fact, no D and no L and no G, just wilding. That was it. So we debated that for a minute, but you know, we talked about life. We talked about what it is to be in this business, and yeah, man, she is truly my shiro. She's a strong woman. She's smart, and I just really the amount of respect I have for her, I can just go on and on.
Her eye, she's got vision for things like that. She's telling stories. She's telling us. She's telling an impact. Just like you watch Janet Jackson, music and art. They're here to penetrate our souls so that we can act.
How intuitive her eye is. So one scene, where with Bobby, he's at work and he works in Midtown. And he works in a parking lot, and he's on the phone with his wife, Miss Linda. And when he hangs up, he lies to her and tells her that he's gonna work a double, but that's the beginning of him drifting away from his family because he feels the guilt of what he did, right, making his son sign that form. So me, the actor, when I go off and she films me, I have Michael has a different memory of Times Square, of Midtown, is I have my own relationship with that. So she says, she stops, she goes, Michael, that last take, it looked like you were going somewhere. I said, yeah, I did a lot of dirt around here. She goes, no, I don't want to think he's going with, I don't want that, he just walks off. That's how in tune she was. We had, and then her.
So you were all in your own head.
Yeah, but I mean, it's again, it happened in my city. This is my life. I'm born and raised on levels that
Michael K. Williams is.
Yeah, you can't help it. But then she also she had grief counselors on set. I don't know if you know that. They were, because the scenes were so heavy and the producers, the actors, crew, people were like breaking down. So at one point, her in the studio, Netflix, they decided to have grief counselors come to set, and there were a few times where it was asked if I was going to use them. I said no, I don't got to. I got Ava. Because she was our counselor at times. She took on everybody. Everybody brought their oomph. And she took it, and you never saw not one dread get out of place. It was like, when she really drove that ship.
Best role you've played so far?
I don't know. I'll let you know when I do it. I'm still.
Come on, Omar. So there was a channel. I had never watched The Wire, all right? And I had Jamie Hector on. I had a bunch of people I've interviewed.
Yes,
and I never watched The Wire. And because I'm like, I lived that. I don't need to watch that. I watched
and The Wire's still going on. That's it.
Right. I was like, I don't need to have that in my spirit. And they were like, it's the best television ever.
So you know the story.
So I over the holiday.
Being a journalist, you definitely know. Yeah. I'm serious. You know.
Oh, I know. So I binge watched it over the holiday season.
Wow, you did?
Yeah, because I made them watch The Color Purple, which I don't think was an even. I don't think that was an even. That's 2-3 hours versus
couple
7 seasons.
X.
And Malcolm X. Okay, so you had to watch 2 movies, Smith.
Poor
you. Right. So, but I watched it, and your character, you and Jamie Hector later for a different reason, but what? When you got the script for that, this dude who is hardcore, sort of shotguns, but there was a righteousness about Omar that you just root for him. What did you think when you got the script, and did you decide I'm not gonna do this, or was there ever a situation where you were like, okay, I don't know if this is good for me?
Never. The minute I read Omar, the minute it came across my mother's fax in the daycare.
Fax?
In the daycare
wait, how long
office,
ago was that?
Yeah, it came across her fax line in her office, in her daycare, in the project that she raised me in. When that fax came in, I read it, and
wait, you were still living with your mom? Were you?
No,
you just used her?
No, I had my own apartment. Okay. We all, my mother, we all grew up in the projects, and like when we left Mama's house, you just got your apartment in the projects.
Oh, okay. So y'all all kind of
yeah.
Different floors.
Different floors. Yeah, okay. Some different. My brother had his own building when he got married, but he ended up coming back to the building. It was Big Mama's house. But
how many brothers? Because you got one that's a makeup artist.
What? That's not my blood brother.
Okay.
No. That's Derek Kolak. You know,
Okay.
me and him grew up
Shout out
together.
to him.
Shout out to Derek Kolak. Shout out to Brevoort Projects. You know what I mean? But no, I'm the last of 10. You know, there's six boys and 4 girls, and I came 8 years after my last brother.
Okay. So you and your mama are close.
Yeah, we're very close. Yeah, I'm a mama's boy. She raised me with a strong Caribbean hand. But so I got the Bahamas, Nassau, Bahamas. Yeah.
Nice. So how'd you get caught up
with drugs and everything? You know, addiction don't got no has no discrimination.
I know, but
like
to try it though, I know alcoholism runs in my family. That's not why I don't drink.
Yes,
but I know
it's there.
it could be there. I don't want to wake it up.
No,
so let's
why
not play
you?
around with it, right? You see people on drugs. I don't want to be that person. So
well, when I was growing up, the people that I saw on drugs, they were cool. That's one thing. They were
nobody was nodding, drooling.
Well, no, it was more cocaine and crack, weed, alcohol. Those are the things that plagued my neighborhood in Brooklyn. There wasn't too many, heroin addicts running around. That was more of an uptown thing, dare I say. But my thing was I had 2 things working against me. I had a very, very low self-esteem, and I had a very, very huge need to be accepted. And those things didn't go well together. You mix that with dark skin. And awkwardness.
Yeah, because it's like
regular adolescence.
Right.
It's just in a community that didn't celebrate you for being sensitive. I was very sensitive. Ironically now that's why I make my living from being sensitive and vulnerable. But it was painful growing up, and so drugs gave me it was a way to self medicate.
Yeah, that era was the light skin era.
Yes, ma'am.
Right, because I'm like, what's wrong? Dark skin is winning right now. This is T'Challa, and Black Panther, and all.
Shout out to
all
the
of that is
brothers,
beautiful,
Idris
right?
Elba, Jamie Hector. Shout out to all my brothers.
And we're I think as a community we're getting more aware that natural and being ourselves, our full complete selves is okay.
But that's a process.
It is,
and it's something like we look at our kids, man, that's in our community. People now, after having gone through when they see us, there's no turning back for me. My lights are fully on, my eyes are open, and it's time for me to go home. And I'm not giving back. I'm not like, the philanthropy. I don't like any of those titles. I don't like any of those airs, and I don't like any of those pats on the back. I'm doing the bare minimals. All I'm doing is going home. If I'm not bringing my jewels, my gold, all my accomplishments, my knowledge that I've learned in all my 53 years of living, if I'm not bringing it back home to my kids, then what am I doing with it, right? So, when they see us has given me the final call to action to not only go back, to go home, but to make a presence in my community, much like the way Nipsey Hussle was doing in his.
But you
aspire to be like him.
You gonna live.
Amen.
May 31st. Yeah. When They See Us, Michael K. Williams, it's the Ava DuVernay Netflix piece on the 5 Central Park 5. Can you come back? Because you're in town, right?
Yeah, I'm born and raised
here.
Whenever you need me, whenever you girl, number thing. Holla at your bro.
Michael K. Williams, thanks for being here today.
Thank you so much for having me, sister.
And y'all check out. Let's just keep clicking on the Netflix special. I mean the series. Just make it number 1. I don't know how that works, but algorithms, they know how to do that.
You just did.
All right.
They do.
All right. When they see us, because they need to. It's the Karen Hunter Show. We'll be right back.
Thank you so much.